Welcome to the fourth domain of the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. And this is very critical because we're talking about curriculum and planning, the essence of what we do in the classroom. And this is curriculum and planning. You know, curriculum is the sum total of all the experiences of the child, not only in the classroom, but even beyond the classroom. And that can be structured, prescribed, hidden, and all of those terms that refer to the sum total of all those experiences so that the child become a learner child. And therefore, if curriculum is what we're talking about curricular content. Okay, and this curricular content is of course translated. It's translated, all right, into learning activities. All right? And these learning activities, of course, should be relevant to learners. All right. Then the curriculum content, of course, is based on a goal. It's based on the big word goal, which, of course, you have to realize has to be long-term. Therefore, because it's long-term, the goal has to be broken down, all right? The goal now is broken down to become objectives. And therefore, the objectives become, the broken down goals. You cannot make a child swallow an elephant. What you have to do is to chop the elephant down so that the child can digest it one bite at a time. The objectives, therefore, are translated to become the outcome. And to do this, there is a need for instruction. Okay, to put it in context, because curriculum content or curricula or curriculum is broad, therefore we set a goal which has to be long-term, but because it is long-term, it could be broken down to the statements of objectives. And that objectives become the basis of instructions so that they achieve the outcome. The outcome refers to that magic word change. The outcome is the change that occurred in a child because of that instruction anchored on the objectives, which are broken down from the goals that is long-term, translating the curriculum content into learning activities, okay, so that become relevant to the learners. And as you can see, this change or these outcomes have to be specific, observable, so that they become measurable. And you have to remember that objectives, to begin with, have to be SMART. Okay, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, or result-oriented, and time-bounded. Now, this change refers to as the outcome, okay, and this is what we want to achieve in learning. Remember, the proof of learning is change. And this change, to be relevant to the learner, should be and must be aligned with the magic word, competencies. Okay, and the competencies and values. Okay, as you may already know, when you speak of the word competencies, you're referring to the KSA plus values. There has to be an alignment of that change with the competencies that the goal is trying to achieve in the long term. Continuing further with the curricular content, which is anchored on goal, the teacher should be able to communicate this goal so that the child gets the support in that experience. And such support should be anchored on learner participation and, of course, learner achievement. In other words, the teacher is not alone in the journey to deliver the curriculum. Because in as much as the goal, which is the basis of the curricular content, has to be communicated so that it can be supported, so that the learner participation and the learner achievement is achieved. Therefore, curriculum should be contextually relevant. Okay, it should be contextually relevant and, of course, responsive. As we said earlier, the purpose of the curriculum is to achieve the goal, and such goal may be long-term, and the proof of the learning is the change. Okay, and that's why that change is called an outcome, and therefore that outcome should be contextually relevant. When you say context, you refer to application. It becomes contextually relevant if there is application of that learning. Because on what point is learning when it's something that the child cannot apply? All right. And responsive to what? Responsive to the needs of the bigger society for which we are preparing the child to be educated for. And after seeing that big picture of the curriculum, we have to go down to planning. And such planning, okay, this is where the magic word plan and design comes in. This is where instruction will come in. The curriculum being the big picture, instruction is that which the teacher is able to cascade down in the level of the classroom. And that planning and designing should be collaborative. Okay, that's why we talked about vertical integration. We talked about horizontal integration. We talked about spiral integration in the curriculum because it can be done collaboratively. And in so doing, such collaboration should bring it down to the level of structured and sequence activities. And this is what you call lesson. All right. Therefore, that big chunk of the curricular content anchored on the goal, broken down into objectives, are delivered through instruction that leads to the outcome, which are specific, observable, and measurable. Okay, through the learning activities that will lead to relevant learning, and such learning is proven by change. This is where the collaboration in the planning and design will put together structured and sequenced lessons. And this is where the OSLEA comes pretty handy. The teacher, therefore, enters the classroom with a lesson plan, so designed collaboratively, and such lesson plans are structured and sequenced learning activities to achieve the outcome, which is the change to bring about the competencies and values, which are the knowledge, skills, and attitude and values that you want the child to demonstrate. And the magic acronym OSLEA, these are the objectives, as you can see there. Okay, the subject matter, of course, the learning activities, evaluation, and of course, the assignment, which intention is to enrich the learning experience. And therefore, we can say that such design of the curriculum will have to also put into consideration the incorporation of resources. Okay, of resources, so that the learning experience become worthwhile. And such incorporation of resources refers to the M. Okay, these are the materials, the machine, okay, even the manpower. The people. Sorry to be not gender sensitive for the purpose. You call that human power. Okay, you talk about money. Sometimes you need it. And of course, moment, which refers to time. So the teacher, therefore, comes inside the classroom carrying that small target for the day, referring to that objective which the teacher will be, for which the teacher will be basing her instruction or her learning activities to achieve the outcome, which will lead to change that will be specific, that she will observe and measure, because she cannot improve what she cannot measure, and she cannot measure what she cannot observe. And that's why always remember that objectives should be stated in behavioral form. Not only that objectives should be stated in SMART form, but it has to be stated in behavioral form. Why? Because the behaviors are observable. And therefore, these objectives become the first element of what you call structured and sequenced lesson plan, the acronym of OSLEA, the objective being the basis of the subject matter, and the objective being the basis of the learning activities. The objectives is where the evaluation will be based, and the assignment is to even expand it so that it becomes contextually relevant. And by the word context, you mean that the child is able to apply that change, showing the competencies, which is the combination of the knowledge, skills, attitude, and values, which the child is able to demonstrate so that that child has, has relevance in the learning. Okay? And the teacher, part of the designing, will be the incorporation of those resources, which refers to the materials, the machine, the manpower, the money, or even the time or moment. Domain number 4 of the PPST is very critical, because a teacher will not enter the classroom without her ammunition, without her power to change. And that power to change is anchored on that lesson plan, which he carries attached as a broken down element of the long-term goal based on the curricular content, which is translated in small bits in what you call objectives. As teachers, your presence in the classroom is so purposeful, is so purpose-driven. Why? Because you begin with an end in mind, and that end in mind refers to outcome. And outcome-based education is an education that leads to change, that are relevant to the learners, demonstrated through the competencies and values derived from the curricular content, which the teachers plan and design, not alone, but collaboratively. For what purpose? To support learner participation and learner achievement. God bless you all. Be the best person to deliver that curriculum one bite at a time through the lessons and changing the lives of the learner, one learner at a time.